Did you ever imagine that a song as simple and sweet as "I Got You, Babe" could explode into a cultural anthem, topping charts and embedding itself in music history? For most, fame like that would feel like the reward at the end of a long struggle. For Cher, it was only the beginning of a path paved with emotional landmines. Her voice might have echoed through stadiums, but behind that powerhouse performance lived a woman weathering heartbreak, identity crises, and endless reinvention. Long before the sequins and spotlight, Sherilyn Sarkeesian's story began in El Centro, California in 1946. Her mother, Georgia Holt, once Jackie Jean Crouch, was a hopeful model and actress of mixed heritage. Her father, John Sarkeesian, was a handsome Armenian-American truck driver, but his charm couldn't mask his inner battles with addiction. At the very beginning, Cher's world was fragile and uncertain, a puzzle where the pieces never quite fit. Their relationship started like something out of a romance novel. Georgia met John while working in a donut shop. The kind of chance encounter that sounds cinematic, but reality hit fast. Their marriage unraveled almost immediately. Georgia even left him the day after the wedding, only to be talked into staying a little longer. That little longer ended up changing everything. Before she knew it, she was pregnant with Cher. When Georgia returned home, her mother presented her with a devastating ultimatum. The decision she made in that clinic waiting room would alter music history. As she sat there, caught between survival and sacrifice, she realized she couldn't go through with leaving her unborn child behind. It was a defining moment, not just for Georgia, but for the little girl who would one day redefine pop stardom. Parenting didn't stitch a broken relationship back together. The time Cher was 10 months old, her parents had gone their separate ways. Her father drifted out of the picture, distant and unreliable, plagued by his own demons. Though he remained a shadow in her life, his cultural roots left a lasting imprint, one that Cher would come to embrace, despite their fractured bond. The man who stepped into the father role was John Southall, Georgia's third husband. He brought warmth and a smile that could light up a room till alcohol changed his tone. Cher, just 9 years old when that marriage ended, saw firsthand how charm could turn volatile. And yet, these early relationships would unknowingly prepare her for the unpredictable world she was about to enter. Georgia, determined but constantly uprooted by disappointment, married a total of 7 times. Twice to Cher's father. In an era when being single carried societal shame, Georgia did what she thought she had to, but the cost was stability. Cher was constantly moving, her feet barely touching the ground before they were lifted again by change. Times, there was enough food for just a can of stew. Other days, they brushed up against luxury, even briefly living in Beverly Hills. That instability wasn't just financial, it was emotional. When Georgia's dreams stalled, she once had no choice but to place 6-year-old Cher in a Catholic orphanage. Despite visiting her daily, the damage was done. Cher was told she'd be better off given away, a message no child should ever hear. She held on to her resilience like a lifeline, even as her shoes needed rubber bands to stay together. And though her mother chased screen dreams, it was Cher who would eventually make the stage hers. Turmoil may have scarred her, but it also shaped her into someone who could command a crowd with just a glance. At school, she felt like an outcast, brilliant in mind, but boxed out by books. Cher never quite fit into the traditional mold. Her grades were scattered, A's in some classes, F's in others. The system couldn't comprehend her struggle with dyslexia and dyscalculia, conditions that were misunderstood or entirely overlooked at the time. Instead of receiving support, she was labeled lazy or unmotivated. She wasn't. She was dreaming of stage lights and gowns and a name that meant something. Cher confessed that even as a teenager, she wasn't thinking about school dances or yearbook photos. She was picturing herself on red carpets, imagining conversations with stars, planning a life that would eclipse the one she was born into. By 16, school felt like a trap, didn't nurture her. It stifled her. So she made the kind of decision that feels reckless until it turns out to be destiny. She walked away, left it all behind, doubt, and stepped into the unknown. She didn't know then was that this leap of faith would become the ignition for a life that would dazzle, disrupt, and endure. With no diploma, no backup plan, and nothing but her instincts, Cher headed to Los Angeles. The City of Angels was calling, And she wasn't just going to answer, she was going to rewrite the rules. She wasn't just chasing a dream, she was surviving it. Nights on the Sunset Strip weren't lined with fame, just flickering neon signs and smoky bars where Cher danced for rent money. Every audition was a shot in the dark, every casting call a whisper of hope. 16, standing in the shadows of stardom, barely noticed, till fate handed her Sonny Bono. 27, working for the iconic Phil Spector. Their meeting? Not love at first sight, but a turning point. Cher moved in as his housekeeper, but what started as convenience quickly evolved into destiny. Wanted a stage, Sonny offered a path. He didn't just see her, he heard her. Sonny believed in her voice and introduced her to Phil Spector, who put her in the background of music history. She sang backup on tracks like Be My Baby by the Ronettes and You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Cher didn't stay in the background for long. With Spector's help, she released her first single, Go I Love You. Fortunately, released under the name Bonnie Jo Mason, radio stations misread her contralto voice as male and shut the song down. Heartbreak, yes, wouldn't be the last. Then came a miracle with a melody. In 1965, I Got You Babe hit the airwaves. It wasn't just a love song, it was the love song of a generation. It played like a promise between them. Raw, simple, and eternal. Their harmonies weren't perfect, but they were real. That vulnerability made them magnetic. The world didn't just listen, it fell in love. Suddenly, Sonny and Cher weren't just a couple. They were a movement, a new kind of duo. The rebel romantics of the music world. As their popularity soared, they released hit after hit. Baby Don't Go and The Beat Goes On captured the pulse of a shifting culture. Music felt like the soundtrack of a changing world, and they rode the momentum straight into the movies. But Hollywood was less forgiving. In 1967, they starred in Good Times, a comedy loosely based on their lives. It flopped. Critics dismissed it as a patchwork of failed sketches, clever ideas with no glue to hold them together. Instead of retreating, they doubled down. This time, it was Chastity, a stark, dramatic turn that stripped away their comedic charm. Poured $500,000 into the film, mortgaging their home to fund it. The risk? Catastrophic. The movie bombed. With no audience and no critical support, they were left with bruised reputations and mountains of debt. One misstep had nearly ended it all. Tides weren't just turning, they were crashing down. The late 60s ushered in psychedelic rock, harder sounds, a wilder culture. Their clean-cut, monogamous image, once seen as sweet, now seemed square. Youths wanted rebellion, not restraint. Sonny and Cher were out of step with the revolution, and their popularity suffered. Even their personal life couldn't escape the unraveling. Sonny began seeing other women, chasing a life that Cher wasn't part of. Romance, once electric, began to short-circuit. When the industry changed, they did what legends do. They adapted. Pop stars to lounge performers, they reinvented themselves as a live act. It wasn't just music anymore. It was banter, sketches, character work. Discovered something precious in reinvention. And television came knocking. In 1971, Fred Silverman at CBS saw them host The Merv Griffin Show and offered them their own variety series. With that, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was born. TV saved them, and maybe, for a time, saved their marriage. It was a hit, pulling in over 30 million viewers weekly. Cher's sharp wit, teasing Sonny on air about his looks and height, became iconic. Audiences didn't just laugh, they felt like they were watching family, especially when Little Chaz made appearances. Viewers saw the Bonos as America's unconventional but lovable household. Cher's earlier acting classes suddenly paid off. She brought characters like Laverne, Cleopatra, and Rosa to life with a sharp edge and effortless charm. Costumes, designed by Bob Mackie, turned her into a fashion phenomenon. People watched not just for the comedy, but to see what she'd wear next. Every outfit was a statement. Every moment on screen a reminder that she was more than just a singer. She was becoming an icon. Still, behind the laughter and applause, cracks were forming. Fame was a spotlight, but it also exposed everything. Both Sonny and Cher had taken different paths off camera. Their private life didn't match the perfect image sold to viewers, but they kept the show going, both for their careers and their audience. Was it loyalty or necessity? Or both? Even as their music stumbled, they tried again. In 1971, Cher signed with Cap Records and released Classified 1A, a ballad from the perspective of a dying soldier. It was a haunting departure from her usual fare. Written by Sonny, it aimed to etch itself into the listener's soul. Maybe they thought sadness would stick where cheerfulness faded. Maybe they were just searching for a new way to be heard. Sonny and Cher had walked through every door fame had opened, only to find many slammed shut. They kept knocking. They had been written off before, and yet here they were again, center stage, ready to fight for relevance. The question was no longer whether they could succeed, it was whether they could survive the price of staying in the spotlight. She had weathered career storms that would have crushed most stars, but Cher was never just a singer. She was a phoenix, constantly reinventing, always rising. After her initial comeback attempt was turned down by radio stations who felt her style no longer fit the mold, many assumed her moment had passed. But in walked Snuff Garrett, sharp, instinctual, and someone who truly grasped the raw power of Cher's voice. That second single she recorded with his help, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. It didn't just chart, it exploded. Billboard didn't just praise it, they canonized it. The song became a pop culture pillar and propelled Cher to a level Sonny could never orchestrate. While the hit crowned her Billboard royalty, the real triumph was creative control. With Garrett understanding her better than anyone before, Cher's artistry blossomed. Way of Love followed, securing a top 10 spot. Then Foxy Lady in 1972, a full ballad album that showcased not just her voice, but her confidence. Fire, however, didn't last. Garrett and Sonny clashed over musical direction, with Sonny insisting on nostalgic standards. The result? Underwhelming, bittersweet white light. Fate wasn't done with Cher yet. Behind closed doors, Garrett was holding onto a masterpiece, a song tailor-made for her. Breathe. Months passed before they reunited, and once they did, lightning struck again. Cher's story as a daughter of two worlds gave the track undeniable authenticity. It soared to the top, her third #1 hit. In a span of just a few years, Cher had rewritten her musical destiny. Dark Lady would push that dominance even further, earning her a fourth #1 single and solidifying her as the female artist with the most chart toppers in US history at the time. She wasn't just chasing dreams anymore, she was catching them in real time. Even the brightest stars can burn too hot. As she thrived on the charts, her marriage with Sonny was unraveling. Over a year, they kept up appearances for their audience, trapped in a performance both on screen and off. By February 1974, Sonny filed for separation. Cher fired back with a legal storm, accusing him of financial deceit. Their split stretched into a bitter public tug-of-war over money and custody. But by June 1975, the divorce was finalized, and Cher walked away with custody of Chaz and a fire to reclaim her independence. Even as her personal life crumbled, Cher was collecting accolades. That same year, she won a Golden Globe for her performance on the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. Meanwhile, Sonny launched his own series, the Sonny Comedy Review. But without Cher, the magic fizzled fast. His show was canceled within months. Cher, however, had quietly been planting her next seed of reinvention. With her relationship with record executive David Geffen growing behind the scenes, she landed a $2.5 million deal with Warner Brothers, a staggering number for any female solo artist at the time. The risk of reinvention came with a price. Her new album, Stars, leaned into rock, unfamiliar territory. Though critics now hail it as one of her hidden gems, it bombed commercially. Yet even that didn't stop her momentum. In 1975, she launched her own TV variety show, Cher, on CBS, reuniting audiences with her charisma, style, and unexpected range. Featuring legends like Elton John and Bette Midler, the show reminded fans that Cher didn't need a partner to shine. The Los Angeles Times said it best, "Cher without Sonny could be the best thing that's happened to weekly television this season." Still, the next twist in her story came lightning fast. Just 4 days after her divorce was final, Cher married rocker Greg Allman. Within 9 days, she filed for divorce again, his substance issues casting shadows over their whirlwind romance. Yet in a stunning turn, he pleaded for another chance. Cher gave it to him, and their reconciliation led to the birth of their son, Elijah Blue. While the relationship would always be fragile, it left a permanent mark on her life. On-screen reunion with Sonny in 1976 proved too little, too late. The public had moved on, and the backlash ended the show by 1977. Cher, once again facing a decline in record sales and popularity, decided to pivot. She stepped away from music, shifting her focus to film. That bold decision paid off. In 1985, she founded her own production company, Isis. Her performance in Mask was a revelation, earning her the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actress, and placing her back in the conversation as a powerhouse performer. By 1987, she reignited her music career by signing with Geffen Records. I Found Someone catapulted her back into the top 10 for the first time in nearly a decade. While the hits kept rolling, the press fixated on her personal life. Old-fashioned, cosmetic surgeries, tattoos, and younger lovers made headlines. Cher wasn't breaking rules, she was rewriting them. She didn't fit the mold of a demure, middle-aged woman. She was untamed, unapologetic, and decades ahead of her time. When Sonny passed in 1998, Cher's public tribute was one of the most heartfelt in television history. Their journey was turbulent. Her love for him had never faded. After a temporary retirement in 2005, she returned once more to music in 2008, again in 2023, with a Christmas album, proving that her voice and presence were timeless. Cher's financial legacy is as grand as her stage presence. Over the decades, she's acquired a jaw-dropping portfolio, some Bentleys and Range Rovers in her garage, a collection of Rolex and Cartier timepieces, sprawling Malibu and Beverly Hills estates, and even a private Gulfstream jet. She's invested in fashion lines, music rights, and owns stakes in tech ventures. With health and asset insurance that rival Fortune 500 execs, she's protected every angle. Her strategy? Diversify smartly, spend boldly only on assets, and never let a single industry define you. Cher's story is more than a comeback. It's a masterclass in reinvention. From heartbreak to Grammy stages, legal wars to Cannes spotlights, she's shown the world how to fall, rise, and evolve without ever losing your voice. And if this latest album proves anything, it's that Cher might just be getting started. Alright, so what a wild ride Cher's journey has been. From battling industry gatekeepers with radio stations rejecting her sound, to hitting the top of the charts with iconic hits like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, and Half-Breed. She showed us all how resilience and knowing your own voice can flip the script on any challenge. And let's not forget the roller coaster of her personal life. Highs and lows of marriage, heartbreak, and rediscovery. All, Cher never stopped evolving. Whether it was reinventing her music, owning the screen, or boldly breaking every rule about style and aging. About a true trailblazer. Story teaches us that no matter how tough the road gets, staying true to yourself and trusting your instincts can lead to unexpected comebacks and legendary status. Plus, there's a lesson in savvy business moves and reinvention that's just as relevant today as ever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Cher's incredible career and life, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us keep bringing you the best Hollywood stories. Got thoughts or favorite Cher moments? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. And hey, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got some juicy celebrity stories and Hollywood secrets lined up that you won't want to miss. Remember, Cher didn't just survive the spotlight, owned it, danced through the chaos, and made it unforgettable. That's legacy, that's power, and that's why, no matter what, she'll always be the queen of reinvention. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time with more behind-the-scenes magic.